My name's Jarrett, and for my artifact, I did a Marie Curie flowchart. Um, a flowchart is used in experiments. It just shows what chemicals you need to make or isolate whatever element. In this case, it was radium, and that was whenever she discovered radium. So my woman was Marie Curie. She was born in Poland. She came from a family of teachers. A lot of her siblings loved education. One of her older brothers went to medical school, and Marie and her older sister actually would go to night school because women during the time were not allowed to go to get higher education, so they were only allowed basic education. So her and her older sister would go to this illegal night school that would move locations every night, and they would start to study sciences and things they were interested in. But they soon realized that this wouldn't be good enough to get the education they wanted, so they decided to move away from Poland and into France. Whenever they were in France, Marie was very supportive of her older sister. Her older sister was trying to get a medical degree, so Marie worked as a governess to help pay for her sister's school. While she worked as a governess, she started studying physics and chemistry and this thing she was really interested in. During this time when she was studying physics, she met her husband, Pierre Curie, or the person who would become her future husband. And from there, that allowed them to both get a lab, and they could start researching in things they were interested in. And one of the things they were interested in researching was radioactivity. This started gaining a lot of attention when they were looking at radioactivity, and it would soon lead to them getting a Nobel Prize nomination. And initially, when they got the nomination, Marie wasn't going to be listed because she was a female, but her husband Pierre really pushed to get her recognized, and that allowed her to be introduced with the award, and she became the first woman to win a Nobel Prize. After that didn't slow her down. They kept doing research, and they even started a family. They had a girl named Irene. But unfortunately, Pierre was killed in a horse carriage accident shortly after. Again, this didn't slow her down. She kept doing research, and since Pierre died, she started focusing less on the physics side and more on the chemistry side of research. And she also became the first female professor while she was still in France. But during this time, she also faced some troubles. She had an affair with a scientist who was married, and this sort of ruined her reputation more than it did him because she was a woman. But she kept quiet during all of this, kept doing her research, and really didn't let that bother her, and she knew she had to gain respect on her name back. So this work in chemistry ended up leading to her discovering polonium and radium, which is the flowchart I showed you before, and she won a second Nobel Prize, this time in chemistry, and this time pretty much solo. So this was the first woman to not only win one, but two Nobel Prizes in different fields, which is amazing. And during this time, France entered the war, so she wasn't able to do research because a lot of her research assistants were drafted. So she couldn't really do research because she didn't have the help she needed, so she decided to help out in the war with what they were doing research on. So since they were doing research on radioactivity, she thought X-rays could be useful in the field. So she made these mobile cars, which basically were stripped out and had X-rays in them, and she trained several women to work in these X-rays machine and how to determine how to read it so they can determine broken bones or shrapnel in soldiers. And this was the first time X-rays were used in that way, and this obviously was a huge difference in medicine because this is how X-rays are used today. So that was a big advancement. And so in her doing this, volunteering in the war to do such a great effort, it really sort of won her respect back after having the affair. And so after the war, she kept working on research, and this time she was able to get government funding, and that really opened the door for government funding, because when we think about research today, even in America, when we think about big time research, it's kind of common for it to be government funded. But back in the day, that wasn't the case. It was hard to get money together. So this kind of opened the door for government funding and research, and that's huge. But unfortunately, due to the exposure of radiation and her life doing research, she would eventually pass away. But that doesn't, slow down the fact that she was able to accomplish so much as a woman in science, but just in science in general. A lot of those discoveries really helped modern medicine. Thank you.